Security Halt podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMS, Precision Wellness Group, and Pure Liberty Labs. Mark, welcome back to Security Halt podcast, man. Thank you for coming back on, dude.
Well, thanks for having me, man. And sorry I messed up the second portion, but it's always good to see your pretty face again.
You flatter me. Yeah, that's the one thing we have to do is to make sure everything uploads before we log out. That was like those of you listening at home.
Echo, so I used to be an Echo, so I'm a little a little embarrassed.
Dude, I got to tell you, man, I've been reflecting on we always shit on our Echoes, but dude, all of my friends that I know that are highly successful on the outside, doing amazing big things, big innovation things in defense tech, they're all JTACs or 18 Echoes. So if you're listening and somebody's shitting on you in the team room, I just want you to know right now, when you get out, as long as you have just a decent amount of common sense and skill sets, you're going to thrive.
I 100% back that statement. 100%.
Oh, well, Mark, today I want to dive into your journey, man. One of the great things we've been able to do with Special Forces Foundation is reach out to our Green Berets are going into that pivot, going into the civilian world, that are entrepreneurs, and highlight their businesses, highlight their endeavors, and watching your, everything you're doing with I-68, like you're a great leader for our, Green Berets are coming out and looking to start their own business. I-68 has now done some great things. We've been able to follow it from the very beginning. And I think that when we look at that crawl, walk, run methodology that made us so successful, guys just need to be able to feel comfortable reaching out and be like, hey, Mark, I'm not in the same industry, but maybe we can sit down over a cup of coffee and talk about what it takes to build a successful business.
100%. No, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Where I'm at right now, where I've come from, it was really that crawl, walk, and I still think we're in the walk phase of it. But we're about to hit. It's a ruck march walk. We're moving pretty quickly, and we're some potential opportunities are coming up to where we might go from a fast walk to we're sprinting. Planning for that, and then I'd love to talk about that journey.
Heck yeah, man. So tell us, where did this whole concept start, man?
Well, so I grew up in 7th group. As you can see, I got two berets back there, but I grew up in 7th group, 2nd Battalion, 7212. In my opinion, that was the greatest team, greatest ODA in the regiment, and I'll fight you on it. So got to 1-2, did some back-to-back trips to Afghanistan, down south rotations. And, so I went to Echo to be on a Fox. I got home from El Sal, getting ready to go to Columbia, turn and burn. Got home from El Sal in November, turn and burn in Columbia. And my wife, who I met in college, we had 2 girls at the time. We're getting ready to go to Columbia, and she's like, "Hey, Mark, last 3 years, you've been home a total of 8 months." So that was my, hey, yep, got you. So went to Columbia. Chain of command was super, super supportive. Originally, I thought I would do what every SF guy does. Hey, I'll just go work at group for a year and take a knee there and then come back. And, funny enough, they didn't have a job for me. So I was like, what? I was 18 Fox. You don't have a job for me? Oh, well. And so they offered me a job at Sauk North here in Colorado. And my wife and I are hillbillies from the Appalachian Mountains. So like, yeah, we'll go back to the mountains. And so I got here to Sauk North doing the staff job. And so I didn't know what to do with my hands. So I went back to school, got my master's degree, but I also, through a mentor of mine, retired, 10th group sergeant major, was like, hey, look, you're going back to a team. Why don't you start a company and teach people how to shoot? And I was like, well, that's kind of good, because I knew if I went back to a team, you can't be fat. You better be able to, keep up the PT. And so that was 8 years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago is when I started I-68. Originally, I thought I started for selfish reasons. Hey, this is the way to keep me up, with those hard skills, and then also the teaching portion, which we always do in SF. Started, just teaching, family and friends and stuff like that. But as we moved, as I was kept teaching, is I found that um I was able really to resonate with our students, like really connect with them on, not just, what the shooting, how to shoot, but really I saw the empowerment that we're able to give, because over 70% of our graduates in the last 8 years have been women, which was really surprising to me. I thought the adage was like, hey, women only want to learn from women. But what we found is women just don't want to learn from assholes, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so, and so when I went from SOC North and I went over to 10th Group as a JED team sergeant, I kept the company. And so I brought a lot of guys on, from 10th Group. I was, um, they saw the vision, they saw the impact we were having in the community. And so, through that time, I was like, man, maybe I could do this, for real. And so because the impact we were having, we were having the fundraisers, the women's only events, the men's only events, all that stuff, and really started building like, a community out here. And so when it was time to retirement, I hit the retirement transition. I had my skill bridge internship ready to rock and roll. I was a JTAC. That was my niche throughout my career. My last job was the Fires Institute at IC as a 10th Group, and I had it like, hey, I had planned, hey, I'm going to, internship, then take a job with that company, doing JTAC stuff. And about a week or so before I start my internship, they called me. I knew all the guys. It's a small community, and they're like, hey, Fitz,
Yeah.
sorry, man, we don't have a job for you. I'm like, huh? We just been talking about this for 2 years. Uh, so, through a lot of prayer, and a lot of mentorship, and I'll tell the story in a second, I decided to go all in on this. And so, what did I do? I went out and bought 160 acres of property out here to develop.
Yeah, that's definitely going all in.
Yeah, oh, if we're going to do this, let's do this right. And, it's funny because I was sitting there, my father-in-law, Holly's mom, he's a retired SF guy. He is out of 5th Group. We won't hold that against him. But he looked at me, and I've never been punched in the face so hard in my life. He was like, "Hey, Mark, throughout this, journey, I-68, what you're doing with this, you said, hey, look, you felt God's presence as you're doing this, and God just really shut this door." And he goes, "Do you even have faith?" I was like, "Thanks." I was like, "Man, I've never punched in the teeth." And so that was really the motivation. Like, hey, if we're going to do this, let's do this right. So we bought the 160 acres. We just had our grand opening in June. Was this past last weekend. We just had our 6th annual House and Hollow Points pistol competition, which is a fundraiser for Victory Service Dogs, the biggest event we had. And so it was definitely scary to go out on my own, because, granted, I'm retired, we get that check, but, as you know, Denny, you take that pay cut, standard of living changes. I used to be stressed and worried because when I had this piece of property, it's not bringing revenue in. How am I going to pay the bills? Because now I had overheads, because for the last,
Yeah.
7 years, before we got this property, um, I was very, very fortunate to be able to work on other people's ranges, and they would let me do it for free. So it was really like those pieces were in place. But now that I have a mortgage to pay and debt to
Yeah.
pay off and all that other stuff, and I'm just like, holy smokes, every time I would get really, really worried about financially, God would sprinkle an opportunity here. God would sprinkle an opportunity there. That and so, um, you know, I've said this, more than once. Now I used to be stressed and very worried, but now I'm just stressed. Because I'm a business, good stress, right? So just stressed
Yeah.
because I, it's at least with my walk, with Christ, is that if I do it the right way, if you know, God it's shown me this is what I'm supposed to do with the company. This is the way that I can have impact in my community. Then things will come the way they're supposed to. And so that's been a big
100%.
lift off my chest. And so, you know, that crawl was that 8 years while in side business. You know, I would go to work, come home, work until 10 o'clock at night on the business. You know, while being operational.
This episode is brought to you by Titan SARMS. Head on over to titansarms.com and buy a stack today. Use my code CDenny10 to get your first stack. I recommend the Lean Stack 2. Start living your best life. Titan SARMS. No junk, no bullshit, just results.
But this all set this up for when I retired, and now this is the only thing I do. And you know, it's been, you know, I wouldn't say we've launched, but we're growing in more success and we're trending upward, and you know, making more impact in the community.
Yeah, man. And I want to pause and highlight something you said, man. That fear part, like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of guys are questioning the entrepreneurial path. They're hanging on to two options, and they're screwing up on both. Like they're committed, or so they think they're committed to their dreams of this business, but they won't walk away or push away from this job that's keeping them focused on, you know, it's dividing their focus and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Have faith, believe in your dreams. And if you don't believe in dreams, then move forward, rebuild, redesign, look at a new business opportunity. But if you're going to be committed to it at some point, you got to walk away and you got to say, I'm going to burn the boats. I'm going to push off from the shore and go 100% on this endeavor. And then it actually gets easier because that's your only thing you're focused on. And the opportunities start coming and you start being open to things that are coming your way. And, you know, I try not to push faith on anybody, but I will tell you, man, like, just like you were saying, like those late nights, talk to God.
I worked more hours than I ever did. Other
Yeah.
than the business, I work more hours, and I work every day, at least something. And it's hard. This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. One of the hardest things I've done. And I kind of put it like when you're thinking about going to selection, right? And we talked about guys that, you talk to, young kids, I think I want to go SF is like, well, you think or you do. Like, it's one of those things like, you want to be a Green Beret, you're all in. You want to go to selection and go to the Q course, that's just the very beginning of it. You have to be all in on that and preparing for that. And then, and as you know, and a lot of your listeners know, like, hey, then once you get on the team, that's all you do. That's it. Uh, I and that prepared me for entrepreneurship, right? This is what I'm doing. When we're in, we're fighting for the guys to the left and right of us. The way I look at it is now that as an entrepreneur, it's all on me. I'm fighting for my family. That's the way I look at it. That's my mindset. I'm fighting for my family, to provide for my family on this. I'm just very lucky that I found my niche that also, personally fighting for my family, but having a big impact in people's lives and in, having a positive impact in the community. So I got pretty lucky with that one. Because I'm able to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah. And I know one of the things that I initially was very like when I saw I-68, I'm like, man, like of all places, Colorado, like there's a lot of hurdles to navigate guns and ammo. What are some unique problem sets that you found yourself facing early on? Because Colorado is not the greatest place for a man trying to run a range.
Yeah, I will tell you, it was fine. All this craziness really happened within the last 2 or 3 years. And I will say this, because we have the law as SB 25003 that's supposed to take effect in 2026, and it makes buying a firearm extremely cumbersome and extremely difficult. And so for the training side, it doesn't affect me yet, but it's the clients that I have that I worry about. Because if you live in Colorado, we'll be fine because we have our firearms. We can still go train, and a lot of our, as I said before, we have a lot of women clients that come in Well, a lot of them are, I wouldn't say a lot of them. We have a major portion of them that's, recently divorced,
Mm,
or were, you know, or had a scare. We'll say had a scare.
yeah,
They could have been a victim, and then they decided, hey, I need to become my own protector. Especially the divorcees. Hey, now, hey, it's just me. I got to protect my family. Or the ones that had a scare is like, oh, and so what keeps me up at night with the craziness going on in Colorado is that woman like that had that scare or recently divorced say like, hey, I need to get a firearm and get training. Well, now it's a huge, cumbersome, extremely expensive to just get the firearm. Then you have to go to do the training. So that's for me when I went up and testified up at the state capitol, that was really my like the point I made is that the people that have firearms will be fine. We have our firearms. But the people that feel that they need to become their own protector and they want to use this skill set to protect themselves, you just made it more difficult, much difficult to be able to do that. And so, but I will say this, because of the craziness that the state laws is trying to impose on Coloradoans, it's also lit a fire under that Second Amendment community. Bringing them together. Common enemy, I guess, so to speak, are these
yeah,
laws. And so I'm, you know, not to sound too political, I'm very curious to see um we have elections coming up next year to see how all of this craziness affects the election, kind of like it did nationally. Uh,
yeah,
so wait to see, but no, so training wise, it hasn't really affected me. Maybe, maybe that's part of the reason that we're getting more business now. We have a lot more people. We're filling classes a lot more. And that might be a part of it, or I don't really know. But also it might be a part of it because 2025 is the first year. I've been full time I-68, so probably a little bit of both.
yeah,
I would.
yeah. And I do love the fact that it's a community business, man. When I look at everything you guys are posting, it's easy to see the allure of scaling really fast and building that training site that can be utilized by 10th Group that's right there, but building something that's of service for the local community, the moms that need help learning how to defend themselves, the women, like the Valkyrie competitions you guys have, like that is awesome. Like, you see any of that before you guys started going?
Not particularly. And it's a funny story because, you know, again, with all the women that we were training, my wife and her best friend, they're like, Mark, you need to do something specifically just for the women. I'm like, well, right, my wife's smarter than me. And so that's what came out with the I-68 Valkyries events. We have one this Friday, for example. And so for all the graduates, women graduates, I rent out all of an indoor range. And so
Nice.
they come, we shoot for about an hour or so, excuse me. And then we have a big social, right afterwards. So it's a really good community event. It's social event. I after doing it, you always, oh, I did this, and let's look back on the impact. You know, what I have found is okay, it gets these ladies on the range, right? Because they don't think about defensive shooting and shooting like I do, and I understand that because this is my business, this is my world. But it gets these ladies back on the range, to get training, but then also at the same time, you know, it brings all those ladies together in a community, that social event. They're all good friends. They bring guests that get introduced to the I-68 family. And so it's been really successful. And, it's just now it's a staple of our company. And then I think we did this for like a year or 2 years, and all the husbands are like, Mark, what about us? So, all right. So we started the Aries event. I did steal that from my old call sign at 10th Group, my JTAC call sign, Aries. And so we did that. We started the Aries event last year, and it's been really successful. What I found is the guys, they want to shoot for 2 or 3 hours. They want to come out and
Yeah,
train.
yeah.
We do that at the I-68 training facility. Train for 2 to 3 hours, have a big barbecue at the end of it. Good fellowship for the guys. Because we get around and we talk about men's stuff like, hey, as protectors, as fathers, as husbands, And it's a good venue for the guys to get together. I almost like the team room, man. You go and you train all day, and you're tired, but then you get back in the team room and you're with your guys and you talk about things that you're not going to talk about at home, like those struggles you have, or the wins you have. So you got the guys that are cheerleading each other on, but also able a safe place to talk about, hey, what are they struggling with?
This episode is brought to you by Pure Liberty Labs. Quality supplements designed to elevate your health and performance. Check out their full line of quality supplements, whether you're looking for whey protein, pre-workout, creatine, or a super greens drink. Pure Liberty Labs has you covered. Use my code SecurityHalt10 at checkout today.
And I think that's the purpose of it. The shooting is just a venue, it's just a vehicle to get people together.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Vast majority of our guys, they don't want to, they're not gonna be comfortable or jumping at the bit to go talk to somebody in an office on a couch. But you get some trigger time or some time shooting with some friends, and things naturally find a way of coming out, man. And it's there's so many different ways to heal and so many ways to start having the discussion. I think for our guys, hanging out with bros on the range is one of them, man. Have you found yourself, transition is not easy. A military career is not easy. And did you find yourself being more willing to take care of yourself, focusing on your own entrepreneurial endeavors, like making sure like, hey, it's only me. I have to be successful. That means I got to take care of myself. Or did you initially struggle with that?
Yes and no. I definitely struggle with it, because, I'm very lucky because the guys that work, was for me, with me, they're all SF guys, so I'm never really alone.
Yeah.
Maybe I probably did that on purpose, because I'm scared to be alone by myself, but also at the same time, it is scary, because the guys that work with me or work for me, they're instructors. They're not on this side of the business, right? They have
Yep.
a lot of them have their own. A lot of them are still in. They do it as weekend work because they have fun, get to shoot free ammo. Most other guys have other jobs because right now, as a business owner, I can't afford to quote unquote hire full-time employees. We're almost there. Um, I'm saying, hell, I barely pay. If I pay myself, it's few and far between. I'm still in that part of my business. And going back to the entrepreneurs, we talked about the fear of entrepreneur. There is a time where I'm not paying myself. Everything goes back into business, but I'm planning for when it is. But I also am very lucky, especially during that retirement transition, that first 6 months, I didn't know what to do with my hands, and I struggle. And I'll admit it. I'm a functional alcoholic. I struggle with alcohol, and I thank God for the Special Forces Foundation because they've been real supportive. We're working on helping me with some things, because thank God I had I-68 during that time when I had nothing to do, because it'd been very easy for me to
Yeah.
get in the bottle at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I have nothing to do. So it was definitely a struggle because, man, this is what I'm going to do. How am I going to do this? But at the same time, thank God I had it because it kept me mentally engaged with something.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know,
Dude, it's alcohol is
truth,
yeah. Yeah. Alcohol is a hard thing for guys to deal with. And I will tell you right now, it is not an easy thing to kick, man. So like it is a journey.
and I still haven't kicked it. I'll tell the story. Like when I started my retirement transition, because the boys that know me know that I like to have a drink. And so when I started my retirement transition, I was like, man, and this was last April 24. I was like, I got to see if I can do it. For 75 days, I did the whole 75 hard thing. It was great. And, I made it through, when I was sober, doing the workouts, all that stuff. I found that I worked on a different level that I didn't know I had. I was an animal in every aspect of my life, not only just, I-68, but family, church, I was a better man. And so when that 75 hard stopped, I was like, okay, cool. I can control it. I can have a couple drinks here and there. And then a glass of wine with a steak turned into 2 to 3 drinks, turned into back to my old ways, right? And so I struggled with that, and it came to a point where I said, "Hey, I'm a pretty strong guy, but I'm not strong enough to do this on my own. I need an intervention." So then I call, obviously I do some stuff with the Special Forces Foundation. You know, big, I'll name drop them. Big shout out to 𝐂𝐓. I called him. I was struggling. Um, and he's like, "I got you." And so we're working on a plan right now to get some treatment. Caught it, right now today's 23 days, on the wagon. But I have some medicine that's helping me now. But getting a plan to where I can do this on my own. Big shout out to Cody, because here's the problem. I'm highly functional.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so, I wasn't a mean drunk. I wasn't, I didn't fight, I just drank. And so, yeah, I was still able to function at a high level, even that. And so I never really thought, oh, this isn't a problem. I'm still able to function. I'm still able to do that. But finally, I still working through the process. But yeah. So for the guys out there that are struggling with it, drinking is a big part of our culture.
Yeah.
You know, if
It's
you want to function at the highest level, yeah.
yeah.
So
I didn't understand it until I lost a friend to it. I mean, the first time I saw Daryl was at a treatment center and couldn't talk to him for like the first 2 weeks because he was on step down. Like if you walk out, if you take the bottle away from a hardcore alcoholic, you'll die. And that's where he was at. And I mean, for years after that, he struggled with it, but you would be able to sit there and talk with him on the phone, and you never know that he was fucking just got done downing a bottle of McCormick's. Um, and then sadly, that's what did him in. That's the reality of it. Like, we got to change the culture. We got to advocate to at least explore the idea of being sober for yourself.
well, I had a lot of inspirations too. I know some guys that I work with that I really respected, as an SF guy. And I remember I hadn't seen him in a while, and like I was a half a bottle a day guy. I wasn't,
Yeah.
but this guy was a bottle a night, right? Like he was an amazing SF guy. And I saw him at the PX, and I invited him to my retirement party. He goes, "Well, I can't come because I'm 10 months sober." I was
Mm.
jaw dropping. "You're sober?" And I was like, "Man, if he can do this," and then I have some other friend, a couple buddies from seventh group, old teammates. They got off the bottle, and it was just watching them was an inspiration to me. And I was like, this is where I want to be like them. And that was really that process of me saying, "Hey, I need to do something different," because now I have huge responsibilities. I'm running a company. If I screw up, I lose 160 acres. I lose everything. I mean, so it was an inspiration and a kick in the ass for me to change it. Even though I was operating at a decently high level, I have different goals now.
Yeah.
So
I do. I can't thank you enough for being vulnerable enough to share that, because more often than not, our brothers to the left and right of us within the team room, they're dealing with this. Alcohol addiction is a real thing, man. And it takes our friends. It takes our friends. And then you're building something that's of service to your community, man. We can't lose you. You're too important, brother. You're too important. And I know this is not easy. I know this is a hell of a thing to go through, but brother, you're not alone. Like you got all of us.
yeah, I am very lucky. I have so much support in this, and obviously my wife and kids. Even my kids. Open with them with my kids, and but also the SF guys that that work with me. Yeah, when I go through, they're like, "Oh, you need to change your environment." Well, my environment's actually pretty good because the guys that I work with, it it's not that when we were 25 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're really supportive as well. And then I got the Special Forces Foundation. Cody calls me, you know, at least once a week, once every 2 weeks to check in on me and all that other stuff. And so, having that support mechanism, which I think I'll go on a limb is like all SF guys need because we're team guys.
Yeah.
We want our team, and so the fact that I'm not completely alone, I got guys that are made of the same cloth, supporting me and it has my back. Even if I fail, they'll pick me up, and so that's going through this process makes it a little bit easier because the support of my teammates. So to speak.
Yeah. This episode is also brought to you by Precision Wellness Group. Getting your hormones optimized shouldn't be a difficult task, and Dr. Taylor Bosley has changed the game. Head on over to precisionwellnessgroup.com, enroll, and become a patient today.
So
Everybody needs to remember there's a community of people that are surrounding you. No one's ever truly alone, especially in this regiment, man. Like,
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I know we were going to talk about entrepreneurship.
No, bro, this is important. This is real. This is you can't go into this life in transition and expect it not to touch every other aspect of your life. And guys are dealing with, divorces. They're dealing with loss of family, loss of identity, purpose. And yeah, addiction's part of it too, man. Like it's the reality. You being vulnerable with what you're going through gives somebody else the ability that, whoever's listening that might be in the same situation, and lets them know that there's a way out. Okay, I can get help. I can reach out.
Going into entrepreneurship, and I'll say from my experience, when you're going into entrepreneurship, like you're the single point of failure. Like
Yeah.
even if you're employing people, you're the single point of failure because if something happens to you, I'm not there yet where I have employees, like full-time employees, but if something happens to you, they lose their livelihoods. And so
Yeah.
like my North Star changed a little bit because you have that security of being, you know, being on the team or at least financially, you know, um, you have that. But like when you're on your own and you're trying to make impact, in your community and kind of going back to the entrepreneurship, those guys that are looking in there, you have to find out here's maybe my advice: find out your why. And it took me 8 years to find out why. Why, because before as I said, I'm just teaching people how to shoot. So I'm good enough to when I go back to an ODA, or in my case, I went to a Jedburgh team. But through that process, my why changed from just teaching people how to shoot to now the shooting piece is a vehicle to empower people.
Yeah.
And that's the why. Find out what you're good at. I'm a great teacher. Find out what you're good at, and then use that, whatever that is, to push whatever your why is. Because if you don't have a why, if you're doing it for just money, in my opinion, it won't be successful. Go get that contracting job. If it's about money, go get that contracting job that you deserve. Go get that employment that that 9 to 5 that you're still going to succeed at the highest level just because of who you are. But the entrepreneur route, when you're doing it on your own, it has to be about the why. And if you do it right, eventually the money will come, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. The money's going to come eventually. God is good; He's going to take care of us. But you have to find that why first, and
Absolutely.
recalibrate your mindset a little bit, but still use everything you've learned throughout your whole Special Forces career, because that's helped me, especially in the hard times.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, if you're diving into something new, becoming a business owner, entrepreneur, like the money, it's not going to be the windfall that you expect right off the bat. But you
No.
have to give yourself the grace and the ability to understand. It's like, okay, like I'm not going to have a windfall, but I'm gonna be able to survive. Like,
Yeah.
be confident in your skill set, be confident in what you're building, and trust that the payoff will be out there. But if you want that huge friggin' bank account, if you want that big paycheck, go defense tech, go contracting.
It's like the Q course, right? You start the Q course, and it's anywhere from 18 months to 2 or 3 years, depending on your MLS. Like, it's nothing new as we haven't done before. Like, that grit for long periods of time to get to that goal. It's probably gonna be a little bit longer as an entrepreneur, but we've done it in the past. Like, that Q course experience is that you had delayed gratification to be able to don that coveted green beret,
Yeah,
right? And it's the same thing in entrepreneurship. At least that's the way I kind of look at it. Is that's to me that's the two superpowers of a green beret is grit, because they're not going to quit at anything, right? And because of that, and I didn't come up with this. I heard it from a buddy of mine who has a podcast, but the ability to figure it out, be able to plan to come up with a plan and then deviate from it when needed. And I think that's as SF guys, that's our superpower. Those two things right there. So,
yeah.
stick with it.
Absolutely. I mean, we have so many skill sets that we forget that we've learned how to just deal with and solve problems that are just complex, ill-defined. You can utilize all those skill sets on the outside. You're not going to lose any of that when you transition into the civilian world. Like, that's everything that made you a great individual in the military is still with you. Don't let fear make you feel like you're not going to be successful. That's the hardest part to, like, explain to guys, get them to see that they have everything they need within them. Like, yes, transition programs, yes, an MBA could be great, but I'm living proof that you don't have to have an MBA to launch a business. Like, dog shit entrepreneur. That's I'm patent pending that. That'll be my brand. But you figure it out. You Google, you Reddit, you stay up late and you go through and you figure things out, what you need for filing. The biggest thing that I realized too, though, is strike while the iron's hot. Strike while you're excited for it. Don't give up and don't sit down and let that idea, you know, fly off. Like, when you have something that you're excited about, start pulling the string, start writing it out, start building on something. If you put it on the back burner for too long, it's never going to amount to anything. Like, I've met some amazing individuals and they've shared some amazing business ideas. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you launch that? I really wanted to go and make some really good money, and I've done that. And now I'm kind of stuck with it. It's like, fuck, like, all right, you're making some good.
I was that guy. I had the plan, Diddy. I was going to work this job, doing the JTAC thing for 2 to 3 years. I had it was good money, and it was like the perfect plan. And like, I traveled 1 week a month, ain't good money, but I still had time to work on the company. And the business was like, I was like, hey, I will do this until the business takes off on its own, and then I'll just transition over. God shut that door hardcore. And so then, which I am so obviously so grateful for, because now I'm like, okay, this is it, all in. Let's do this, right? And so that stress was the best thing that ever happened to me, at least
Yeah,
in the real aspect. So
yeah,
yeah,
man. It's
yeah,
so true, dude. It's you know, we have to look at everything through the lens of, you know, what I want my future to be. Don't get bogged down with, you know, the short term planning goals it's easy to go through and want that checklist for everything. It's like, it's not, you're not gonna have a checklist for this. It's gonna be a lot of hopes, dreams, write things out, be willing to explore ideas and concepts. And once you have something that's pretty concrete,
mhm,
start moving forward. Start
yes.
fucking moving forward. Like, and then when you have that LLC, when you have it formed, push away from the safety of the shore, man, and launch it. Be willing to fail fast.
Oh, it's
Um,
going to a lot. And I will say this, and maybe this is more of a tactical advice, um, for entrepreneurs, and it's something that SF guys in general are really good at, is that networking piece. Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yes, dude.
especially, locally, you're gonna go all these networking events, and it's happened to me. Like, okay, you meet all these people, the business cards, okay. Oh, well, I didn't get a client, and even my wife has asked me, like, has any of these networking events, have you got clients or blah 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 blah? And I'm like, no, not yet. Not a whole lot of not yets. And I will tell you, uh, it's just like working that embassy party, right? You go to those networking events or those functions or whatever, and you're
Yeah.
shaking hands, kissing babies, and doing what we do best, right? Well, you can't you can't get discouraged when you go to a networking event on a Thursday and you don't have a client by next Wednesday.
Yeah.
I will say this: it is happening for me now. People that I met 18 months ago, or 2 years ago, or 8 months ago, are now calling me, emailing me, "Hey, Mark, we want to do this private event. Mark, we want to do this, that, and like, as tactful advice, man, you have to work the rooms just like you were if you were working out of the embassy or working with the leaders of your embassy, whatever it is. Like, you have to keep doing that as an owner of a business, and stay. It's a ruck march, man. It's one foot in front of the other. It's a long way to go, but eventually, if you're doing it right, those relationships you build will become fruitful.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. People want to see you start building something. Don't be discouraged when, nobody's jumping at the bit to fall in line with your idea or your business endeavor. Like, hey, look, it's a cold world. People want to see you do something first. They want to see you start moving. And you have to be okay with that. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal if people don't want to jump on board right away and back you. Understand that financial risks comes in all shapes and sizes. People want to see you start moving. They want to see you build something. And once you have something, you'll be surprised how many people come out of the woodwork wanting to support you, wanting to figure out how they can, partner with you, collab with you.
Yeah,
But you have to build something first.
yeah, yeah. And no one's gonna be as excited. No one's gonna love your business more than you do. And you're like, what? And I've gone through this. Why aren't they as excited as I am? This is awesome. This is awesome. Why don't they?
Yeah.
I will say this, but if you continue to have that passion about what you do, like pure passion, not that put it on that face because you're at it, people, it'll come out of your pores. People will see. That is one of the biggest things that I've gotten from a lot of our students. Like, Mark, we see how passionate you are about this specific thing, and it's contagious. It's contagious. So, just, stay disciplined, don't, with, all the tactical stuff you're doing in your business, know your why. And like, not just you know, the quote you put on Instagram or whatever, but like really know your why. And
Yeah.
for you, the impact that you want to make. If you have, if your business and your why is you want to impact people in a positive way, impact your community in a positive way, and you keep that as your North Star, it will be successful. It's going to take time, but um, you know, SF guys are they're just made of grit, right? And so this it's a ruck march. Is what it is.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, as we wrap it up, man, what are some things that are in the near future for I-68? What
Yeah.
do you guys got cooking?
Well, so we just finished our phase one of our I-68 training facilities. So we have, two ranges up. They're both AstroTurf down. We're kind of coming into the end of our quote unquote season, because we have a winter here in Colorado. We just had our big House and Hollow Points pistol competition fundraiser, biggest one we've ever had. Donated, close to $18,000 to Victory Service Dogs. Yeah, 26
Wow.
competitors. And so, with the season winding down, really trying to take the momentum we've had in 2025 into 2026. 2026, we're going to be launching new courses. We're going to do our home defense shotgun course,
Shit.
home defense shotgun course, really launch our youth program in 2026. So we've done our beta courses for both of those. And so really coming in and working, bring the guys in, to do, you know, pull them into the ISO prep and start doing our planning for 2026. Um, big year, big things for next year is that working on some contracts. So put some potential contracts, which would be um, life changing. Being able to, our goal is to have phase 2 done by the next summer, which is our 1,000-meter known distance rifle range. So
Hell
for
yeah. Now we're talking.
yeah, oh yeah. I'll tell you what, that is the biggest demand we have here in Colorado is long distance shooting. And so really, scouring the SF network to bring guys in to teach that long distance, because as well. I'm saying I went to CIFSIC 2011, but but the guys here in Colorado, they're PhDs. They're reloading their own bullets. So bringing in the guys that was their niche to come in
Yeah.
and teach that at a high level. So that's the big thing we're working on, but it's all revenue based because I'm self-funding this whole entire thing. And so a lot of financial risk with this, but it is what it is what it is, and it's successful so far. And then next year we have our women's only competition. We'll have our fundraiser again, doing more events for the local community, and just continue to train. And so 2025 was an extremely tough year. Retiring, building the ranges, and now is kind of taking that breath, coming back to the planning cycle, and then making building off what we've done in 2025 for 2026. And I'll say this, with retirement, exposure was the name of the game for I-68 2025. So I really appreciate you having me on this to tell the story of who we are and what we're doing, and it's huge for me and it's huge for the company. And so this really going and just continue to building.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. It's my pleasure. I can't thank you enough for being willing to create something, man. We need more entrepreneurs from our regiment. We need guys that are willing to build something, be of service. That's one of the most American things out there, man. Being willing to say, you know what? I'm going to get into industry. I'm going to build something. I'm going to be of service to the people that I live right next to. Give them something that they can go to and learn firearm handling, firearm safety. Like, it's important. It's important that we get the Green Berets out there because it's how we inspire the next generation, man. You never know when that youth program is going to create the next great leader, the next great Green Beret, just because Mark had a tactical shooting training program that brought kids in there and they got exposure. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your time, man. It's important. Big shout out to Special Forces Foundation. There's been a lot to unpack, but one of the biggest things I want you guys to take away is if you're a Green Beret listening to this and you're struggling with alcohol addiction too, you're not alone. A lot of us have dealt with it. A lot of us have been blessed to kick it, but sadly, a lot of our brothers haven't, and they're not here with us. So please fight back today. Be willing to reach out and get help. There are a million tools, a million resources, and we will get the right one for you, whichever one you're comfortable with. But I will tell you right now, please reach out today. Don't fight this thing on your own. If you have a friend that's dealing with alcohol addiction, reach out, man. Be willing to talk and ask them to take a knee and go get help. Don't live with that regret. Don't just put it off in the back burner. Reach out to them. If you know they're drinking too much and you know they're putting back way too much alcohol, say something. Be a censor. You wouldn't let them play with a loaded gun and play Russian roulette. So don't let them do the same thing with a bottle or a bottle and a half at night by themselves. Mark,
No, I'll
dude,
definitely,
thank you.
yeah, Denny, appreciate it. And then, the guys that are out there, whether, you know, if you're starting that entrepreneur journey, please reach out. I'll tell you all the mistakes I've made. And then also, just like Denny said, reach out. I'm an alcoholic, a highly functional one. I know there's a lot of guys out there. If you need help, please reach out to me. We have a great Special Forces Foundation organization, here in the Colorado area, all around all the groups. It's important. You matter.
Hell yeah, brother. Thank you for being on here today and for being so vulnerable with your journey. And giving insight to this battle, man. Again, please, if you're a Green Beret, retired or active, and you need support, reach out to Special Forces Foundation. We cannot wait to hear from you and take care of you, because we're for the boys of the boys. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Till then, take care. Security Halt Podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMS. Head to the episode description and check out Titan SARMS today.